Part 60. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 591. Qing Li asked this question. At the same time, she also secretly looked at Long Ruoxiu in front of her, wanting to know her true inner thoughts. In response, Long Ruoxiu smiled. Sister King Li, you misunderstood. I was just saying angry words. You and young Master Xiao Xian have such a good relationship, how could I get in the way? I hope so. Qing Li's face turned slightly red. Within the Qinghua Empire, she, the third princess of the royal family, was famous for being cold and ruthless. Ever since the empire was backstabbed by the Kanglong Empire, she had focused solely on training. Always thought about one day. You can rely on your own strength to kill your enemies and restore the glory of the Qinghua Empire. Who knew that after meeting Xiao Xian, her iceberg-like heart would actually be slightly moved? In the secret realm, in Zhulo City, at the foot of the monster mountain range. Every time Xiao Xian made a move, she felt like her eyes were brightening, especially after coming out of the Kanglong Empire and being taken care of many times. She even had a vague dependence on Xiao Xian. It seems that when I am with him, I feel a sense of inner peace. Sister King Li. You won't fall in love with that guy, right? Long Ruoxiu's eyes rolled, and she secretly held Qing Li's hand. As someone who has been through this, I would like to advise my sister, this Xiao Xian, is not a fuel-efficient lamp. How do you say this? Qing Li's face was slightly red, and he wanted to tease Long Ruoxiu, but also asked deliberately. Ah! Sister, do you really like this guy? Qing Li gave an incomprehensible answer, but Long Ruoxiu seemed to have discovered a new world, her big eyes full of energy. Why? Although this guy defeated Bai Vuqian, his strength is only that much. What's going on? Seeing that Xiao Xian didn't pay attention to this side, Qing Li continued to ask, do you think he is weak? Is this, if you can defeat Bai Vuqian, your strength should be pretty good. This is a bit beyond my expectation. Moreover, I found that this guy's soul power is not weak, which is really strange. Long Ruoxiu said seriously, as a casual cultivator, it's pretty good to be able to reach this level of strength, but when compared with a real genius, it's still far behind. After hearing this, Qing Li also nodded. She also knew that there was nothing wrong with what Long Ruoxiu said, such as Wang Rulong, Zhang Shen, and Long Ruoxiu, who were cultivating geniuses. They can be among the best in places like the Qinghua Empire and even the Mingzhou territory. Both have gone through a huge accumulation of resources. Xiao Xian is just an ordinary casual cultivator. He may get some adventures by chance and gain some strength. But this is not a long-term solution after all. If there is no support from his family or sect in the future, his cultivation path will not be very stable, and he may disappear from everyone at some point. However, I feel that he is not an ordinary person. Qing Li said confidently, if you don't believe it, then just wait and see. I believe he is a person who can create miracles. After saying that, King Li returned to the wooden house. This time, Long Ruoxiu stayed where she was, pouting, glaring in Xiao Xian's direction, and then returned to her wooden house. The next day, Xiao Xian got up early in the morning as usual and practiced the Shenlong Kung Fu. This was his first time practicing this technique. Speaking of which, when he received the system reward, he still didn't understand it. Don't know how this thing is supposed to be used. Unexpectedly, the system was more considerate than he imagined. It not only provided the Shenlong Kung Fu, but also provided corresponding instructions. To practice one's art is to sail against the current, or to retreat if you don't advance. If you don't have enough perseverance and persistence, no matter how good your talent is, it will be wasted. And in the world of cultivation, if you have a gifted bone left behind by God's blessing and you don't know how to cherish it, in the end this bone will bring disaster. A common man is not guilty of carrying a jade. That's the truth. The power of the divine soul was slowly instilled into the black scales, and Xiao Xian's divine palace suddenly had a kung fu villain. After the villain bowed his hands to Xiao Xian, he started dancing in the divine palace at the same time. One moment, the body is like a light swallow, light and free, the next moment, it is like a tiger descending from the mountain, with fists and feet blowing in the wind. This turned out to be something similar to Wu Qin 11. Xiao Xian couldn't help but be curious. I learned the appearance of this little golden man and began to imitate it in a decent way. In less than a stick of incense, the golden villain completed a set of Shenlong Kung Fu, which surprised Xiao Xian. After dancing the Shenlong Kung Fu, his whole body was filled with heat, and the power of the technique automatically began to circulate in his body's meridians, while continuously strengthening his body's meridians. In this regard, he also felt a sense of surprise. Looking at it this way, it seems that every time I use Shenlong Kung Fu to strengthen the power of the technique, I can actually strengthen my own meridians. Doesn't this kill two birds with one stone? Cultivation is a process of accumulation. For ordinary practitioners, if they strengthen a little every day, the gap between them and others may become wider and wider. Strength. Is it that simple? After several times of Shenlong Gong operation, Xiao Xian was also sweating profusely, and at the same time he felt that the strength in his body had become several times stronger, and his meridians and bones had become more condensed. I didn't expect that your foundation is actually pretty good at this time, the system's voice rang. Huh? Brother system, you are finally willing to come forward. I haven't seen you for a long time. You are finally willing to come forward. However, I didn't expect that you would give me a compliment as soon as you showed up. Xiao Xian laughed and continued to ask the system, it seems that I have been practicing pretty well these days. It's just not bad, there's still a long way to go before it's excellent, the system said unceremoniously. Well, brother system, I just want to say, can you be more positive when speaking sometimes? A systematic word. It was like a basin of cold water that directly poured out Xiao Xian's enthusiasm. If you practice a certain skill, you will be filled with geniuses. The Qinghua Academy you are joining now is considered one of the more outstanding training academies in Mingzhou territory. If you can't stand out in a short time. The system paused for a moment, I'm afraid it will be slow every step. After saying these words, Xiao Xian couldn't help but be stunned. He really didn't expect that this seemingly cold system could actually say such words. Moreover, from these words, he also vaguely felt that the system seemed to know something, which made him somewhat curious. Is it possible that the system originally knew his purpose of coming to Daodao continent? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 592. Isn't it interesting? Brother system, after working on it for a long time, you are still hiding your secrets? Then let's talk about it and listen to it. Xiao Xian became interested, do you know the purpose of my coming to Daodao continent? After asking this question, he suddenly regretted it. According to previous experience, it is best not to let others know your purpose before doing anything. But now, he directly stated his purpose. I don't know if this will bring disaster to him. You mean, no one else knows about these things? Xiao Xian couldn't help but ask curiously, only you know. Certainly. This system and the host are one. There are some things that need not be said. As long as the host has something in mind, this system will naturally sense it. The explanation of the system is simple. But for Xiao Xian, this seems a bit difficult to understand. After all, when he first got the system, he really thought that the system was a cold and heartless machine. But as time goes by with the system, he found that it was not that simple. The system seems to be more than just an assistant. Sometimes, the system does more than just help him strengthen his body. There seems to be some independent ideas. At first, he thought it was because he was overthinking it, but later he discovered that it was not actually the case. Because there is a system. He often encounters the influence of the system, and even takes the initiative to make some decisions under the influence of the system. This is also what caught Xiaoxian's attention. Brother system, what are you going to do? It seems like you have other plans. Xiaoxian was also straightforward. It seems that you are looking forward to me becoming stronger in a short period of time. Can you tell me why? Isn't this also the host's own expectation? The system asked. This is natural, but I know more about your system's thoughts, right? Xiaoxian was not intimidated. Are you sure you want to know the purpose of the system? The system no longer pretended to be stupid and actually took the initiative to show off its cards. Certainly. Xiaoxian did not hesitate. Some things should develop according to the rules, but what makes me curious is that your requirements, system brother, sometimes go beyond ordinary rules. For the sake of safety, I want to know the reasons behind it. Actually, knowing the reason behind it may not be a good thing for you. The system voice was very calm. Is it a bad thing? Xiaoxian was stunned. Of course, if you know too much, you will be burdened with more. The system actually sighed. Now, are you still willing to know the reason behind it? Willing. Xiaoxian pondered for a moment and continued, even if the front is a mountain of swords and a sea of fire, I am still willing to do this, and I believe that I can take on this task. After he said this, for a long time, the system did not respond, and then it said, this system knows that your purpose of coming to Dao continent should be to save Tianqian continent and Honghuan continent, but this is destined to be an extremely difficult road. Then what should I do? Xiaoxian was not surprised that the system knew this, but he was more curious about whether the system knew what he should do next. At least, you should stand on the top of this continent, the system said. This continent. Originally, Xiaoxian was still confident. But after hearing this, he froze on the spot and asked in disbelief, isn't this request a bit too high? Actually, this requirement is a bit low, the system said in a serious tone. Standing at the top of this continent can only mean that you have a chance to resolve the crisis, but it does not guarantee that you can resolve the crisis. Ah! This, brother system, are you kidding me? Xiaoxian felt a lot of pressure. Of course, according to the observation of the system, the strength on this continent is not very powerful, the system said calmly. It's impossible. Isn't this strength, not strong? Xiaoxian originally wanted to say something. But after thinking about it, he still killed this idea in the cradle. To a certain extent, he really had not seen the real top masters on this continent. In fact, he can only hang out among the younger generation now. There is a long way to go in cultivating a religion. Thinking of this, Xiaoxian suddenly felt a little emotional in his heart, and continued, I have to say, it seems that brother system, you are also a person who has seen the world. In this case, let me tell you, what should I do? Become stronger, at least become the most powerful person on this continent. This way you have the opportunity to solve your own problems, and at the same time, help this system complete its mission. The system's tone became urgent. It was as if the person who said this was not a cold system, but a person with feelings. Even though I don't want to admit it. But I have to say that my current strength is still too weak. I don't even dare to tell anyone about saving 2 continents. Xiaoxian said seriously, but I believe that sooner or later, I will become the top figure in this continent. It's a good idea to have this idea. Then, in this freshman battle, it is very important to get first place. The system said, you must get that golden flame pill. Hear these words. Xiaoxian was a little surprised. He was quite familiar with the system's capabilities, but the system actually asked for this. Logically speaking, this little golden flame pill. It may be important to him, but to the system, it may not be that important. In fact, he originally thought that the system could take out the golden flame pill at will. This golden flame pill is not for you to eat, but for you to use, the system said. You can use the golden flame pill, the heavenly dragon broken bones, and the heavenly demon blood melting pill to advance your Shenlong Kung Fu into a 6th grade Kung Fu, the system said. What? So many things. Do you have them? Xiao Xian was stunned. No, the system shook its head. This system is a reasonable system. If the host wants to get some things, it can only be obtained by completing tasks. I'll wipe it. Xiao Xian looked bitter. He had just obtained the Shenlong Kung Fu, and although it was still only a 4th level technique, he really felt the benefits of this technique. I really want to talk about it. If the Shenlong Kung Fu can be strengthened and upgraded, it would naturally be a great thing for him. As for what the system gives, he can get the golden flame pill through the battle for new life, and he has the heavenly demon blood melting pill. The only one he doesn't know about is this heavenly dragon broken bone. Where to find this thing? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 593. Thank you, brother system. I still have to upgrade the Shenlong Kung, and I believe it won't take long. Have to say. After a systematic meal of chicken soup for the soul just now, Xiao Xian did get a lot of encouragement, especially when the system mentioned that the advancement of Shenlong Kung also requires golden flame pill. In this case, he would naturally go all out. In this regard, he did not dare to neglect, but said seriously, however, I seem to have a little idea. What? Wuji sword technique and Chunyang sword technique seem to have been created by Gong Sunhea. I wonder if I can fuse these two things together. Xiao Xian asked. After he asked this question, there was no reply from the system for a long time. What's wrong? Why didn't you speak? Xiao Xian was a little confused. Is it possible that this question is out of line? It's not out of the ordinary, but it's very novel. The system hesitated. Is there such a situation? This system can remind the host that fusion of Taoism is a great thing, but if you want to do this, you must have a lot of raw power. What? Isn't this an opportunity presented to you? Xiao Xian couldn't help but laugh. Who is he? He is not a simple cultivator. But the former founding Yuanling, when it comes to who has the strongest raw power in this world, he dares to say that he is second, but no one dares to say that he is first. Oh, I forgot your identity. With the identity of the founding Yuanling, let alone the fusion of two mere mystical arts, even if you create a new one yourself, it is not impossible. The system's tone finally became less serious. This is one of the few advantages you have on this continent. After hearing these words, Xiao Xian also showed a feeling of relief on his face. In fact, since he came to Daodao continent, he has always had a kind of self-doubt about himself. Because he discovered that although he had once been an all-powerful figure in both the Tianxian continent and the Great Desolate continent, but after coming to this continent, the things he had accumulated before were of no use at all, which really made him feel a little lost and helpless. What do you want to do? Is it possible that we really want to merge? The system questioned Xiao Xian for the first time. I have to say that although the fusion of Taoism can greatly enhance the power of Taoism, if the fusion fails, it will also damage your soul. I am the founding Yuanling. Isn't it a casual matter to fuse two mere mystical arts? Xiao Xian was a little unconvinced. At the same time, he finally felt a little more arrogant in his heart. He is not an ordinary person. Perhaps, This is also the beginning of his rise on the Dao continent. Since you are the founding spirit, I am not worried about your raw power, but, your soul power is a bit weak, the system said unceremoniously. This is crazy. Xiao Xian was so angry that he almost fainted. This special Miao is more or less embarrassed. Ever since he came to Dao continent, he never expected that he would be ridiculed from time to time. The most ridiculed of them all. It is indeed a question of strength. But before, no matter what, the part that was ridiculed was in terms of Tao power, and the power of his soul was still relatively strong. Who knew that today, he would even be ridiculed regarding his soul? This is simply unacceptable. What are you planning to do? Do you want to force the fusion? The system started to move, seeming to be surprised. Certainly. If you want to improve your strength as soon as possible, this is the only way. Xiao Xian's eyes were firm. He also knows that his strength is not very strong now. At least, the last time he saw Wang Ralong, they were simply competing for power. He was only at the beginning of the spiritual god realm. If he wanted to fight against a high-level opponent in the spiritual god realm, he would still suffer a certain loss. Half a month's time. He must at least improve his strength to the middle level of the spiritual god realm and learn some powerful Taoism, so that he will have more chances of winning. However, fortunately, after swallowing most of the demon pill last time, his strength has reached the peak of the primary level of the spiritual god realm, and is just a hair away from the intermediate level of the spiritual god realm. As long as there is a suitable opportunity, he is absolutely confident that he can enter the intermediate level of the spiritual god realm within half a month. Alright. Now that you have decided, this system will give you a little help. This system can give you a task. If you defeat Long Ruoxiu, you can get a 4th grade monster pill. Ha! Brother system, are you kidding me? Originally, Xiao Xian was quite happy when he heard the first half of the system's sentence, but after hearing the second half, he was a little speechless. What is the situation? His main target before was Wang Ralong. However, this little witch Long Ruoxiu is not easy to mess with, right? Others don't know, but Xiao Xian knows clearly that this little witch is not only good looking, but also one of the best in strength. Moreover, Qing Li is also a woman with high eyesight. If Long Ruoxiu didn't have real strength, he wouldn't be able to fall in her eyes, let alone the two of them becoming friends. Do you dare to take the mission? The system asked directly. Ahem, I dare to accept it, but, are your system rewards missing a little bit? After Xiao Xian discovered that the system was not blind, he also started to discuss it. What do you want? The system instead gave the question to Xiao Xian. I want some powerful Taoist skills. It's best to have 10 or 8 of them. The level doesn't have to be too high, any yellow level or Xian level will do, Xiao Xian said shamelessly. After all, I will also be a professor in the future. It's okay if you don't have the goods on hand. Lie down. Host, don't go too far. Although Huang-level Taoism is not valuable, this system is not a wholesale market. How can there be so many Huang-level Taoisms? The system seemed to be in a bit of a dilemma. However, if the host can overfulfill the task, these Taoist techniques can't be given to you. Xiao Xian was stunned. Before, when he made a request to the system, he originally just had the idea of giving it a try. It would be best if it succeeded, but if it didn't, that would be fine. But now, let's see what the system means. It seems that there is still discussion on this matter. In this case, he had to ask clearly, then please ask the system brother to explain it clearly to me. What exactly should I do? How should I do it to get the system reward? Victory, Long Ruoxiu, Zhang Shen, Bai Vuchang, Wang Ralong. Holy shit. Brother system, are you trying to force hatred on me? If I defeat these people at the same time, wouldn't I become the most popular young man in the Mingzhou realm? If this is really the case, wouldn't I be targeted? Xiao Xian couldn't help but said. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 594. Xiao Xian knows. Although the system is a bit verbose at times, but he is still very reputable. As long as he agrees to something, he will basically do what he says and will not lie to him. In this case, you may still have to work hard. Try to improve your strength as soon as possible so that you can have some confidence when facing those talented people in the future. At least, it wouldn't be too embarrassing. To be honest, Xiao Xian could still feel that every time he faced Shanglong Ruoxiu, he still had a vague sense of crisis. This sense of crisis was something he couldn't feel in Bai Chang. In that case, don't blame me and be rude to this little girl, he. Xiao Xian. What are you doing if you don't get up so early in the morning? What are you laughing at? Just when Xiao Xian was talking to himself, suddenly a sharp voice came from outside the wooden house. It was Long Ruoxiu. Come on, Xiao Xian then realized that it was already dawn, and he had made an appointment to go to Wu Meng to collect the skills today. Sleeping in broad daylight, it seems that Mr. Xiao Xian is very calm in his heart. He doesn't care at all about the struggle for rebirth in half a month. Long Ruoxiu looked at Xiao Xian with strange eyes. How can this be? I want to take first place in the freshman competition. Xiao Xian walked out of the wooden house and said with seriousness on his face, when the time comes, I can. Okay, let's go to the training academy quickly. I see that your level is not high, but your spirit is not low. Before you get better, you start to fantasize about ridiculous things. Long Ruoxiu didn't wait for Xiao Xian to say. After that, he interrupted him directly. Little witch, please don't look down on others too much. Who said I can't win first place? Xiao Xian looked a little dissatisfied. So, junior brother Xiao Xian is very confident. Then can you show me your confidence? A hint of cunning flashed in Long Ruoxiu's eyes. Anyway, from the look of you, you don't seem to have much to do now. How about a show? Show what? Show my charm as a man. Xiao Xian deliberately pretended to be confused. You. Humph, I'm too lazy to care about you. Long Ruoxiu glared at Xiao Xian. She originally thought, with her beauty, she can make Xiao Xian honestly say what he should say by any means. Unexpectedly, after she talked for a long time, nothing came of it. Instead, he was teased by Xiao Xian. Secretly dissatisfied in her heart, Long Ruoxiu changed her mind and a smile appeared on her lips. You're being tough now. When the time comes, what will you do if you can't choose the right technique? Master Wu said that everyone can choose a practice in the Kung Fu Pavilion, ranging from 2nd to 4th grade. However, the higher the grade, the more difficult it is to obtain it, Long Ruoxiu deliberately emphasized. Oh. Xiao Xian nodded slightly. If you want to get something, you have to work hard. This is the simplest truth, and he naturally knows it. You. Why aren't you in a hurry? Long Ruoxiu was a little surprised by Xiao Xian's reaction. Don't you know that a practice is the foundation of a practice? A good practice can get twice the result with half the effort on your path of cultivation. This is natural, but I don't need it. The skills in Xiao Xian's hands were condensed, and the Shen Long Kung was immediately displayed. The aura of the 4th grade technique. You actually also have a 4th level skill? Where did you steal it from? Long Ruoxiu flattened her mouth and said with a hint of dissatisfaction, I didn't expect you to be so lucky. Steal? What does stealing mean? Can what happens to us cultivators be called stealing? Xiao Xian was also dissatisfied. While the two were talking, Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli also walked over from a distance, obviously listening to Wu Meng's words and coming specifically to pick them up. Senior brother Wang, Senior Sister Mang Xiaoxian and Long Ruoxiu saluted politely. Master Wu really values you too. I didn't expect that you would be assigned to the Kung Fu Pavilion as soon as you arrived. We didn't have this status before, Wang Tai said with a smile. When the time comes, you have to choose carefully. Each cultivator can only choose one technique in his life. Meng Xiaoli did not forget to remind her, it is best to choose a 4th grade technique, but a 3rd grade technique is not bad, and it can be used stably until the end of the world. Divine Realm. What's next after the Blue God Realm? Xiaoxian asked smoothly. After the Blue God Realm, then you don't have to be a talented genius to reach it. It is already a great thing for ordinary people like us to enter the Blue God Realm. Wang Tai gave a simple smile. That's right, being able to reach the master's level is already a great thing. Meng Xiaoli said the same, and at the same time looked at Xiaoxian, seeming to be a little dissatisfied with his high ambitions. I see. Xiaoxian nodded. At the same time, he had a general understanding in his heart. It seems that in the eyes of Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli, being able to cultivate to the Blue God Realm in this life is already a complete thing. Xiaoxian disagreed with this view. After all, if a cultivator does not have the spirit and strength to move forward, how can he possibly make further progress in the process of cultivation? For Xiaoxian, not to mention the Blue God Realm, even the subsequent Golden God Realm and Dragon God Realm, these are not his ultimate goals. Junior brother, don't think too much, your senior sister Meng also has good intentions. Wang Tai continued. Yes, Xiaoxian nodded quickly, looking obedient. After this conversation, Meng Xiaoli's face was slightly dissatisfied. She originally thought that Xiaoxian was weaker than Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li, so he should be more humble. Who knew that this guy could be so arrogant? At a young age, I don't think about how to improve my strength, but face my senior brothers and sisters with this attitude. With such an impetuous mind, I am afraid that my future achievements will not be very high. Senior sister Meng, is it possible to compete when choosing a technique? Why do we still have to choose? Qing Li asked politely. Yes. Every year after Qinghua College enrolls students, new students come to choose their exercises. Of course, the better the exercises, the more competition they need. Wang Tai explained, however, there may be some family members who do not need the skills. After obtaining the skills, they can choose to exchange them for corresponding training resources. Hearing this, Xiaoxian and others roughly understood. There are different levels of skills, and the higher the level, the better. If you want to obtain higher level skills, you must show superior strength. This is also the best way to allocate resources. Take a peek and see the whole picture. When freshmen choose exercises, the competition is so fierce, which is enough to prove the teaching philosophy of Qinghua College. Competition, competition, competition. At that time, people from other branches will be selected together. You can show your strength and compete for your own skills. Wang Tai encouraged. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 595. Junior brother Xiaoxian, what kind of technique do you want to choose? At this moment, Long Ruoxiu turned back with a smile and said, I see that you already have a 4th level skill. Isn't it necessary to participate in the selection of skills this time? She said this. But it instantly attracted the attention of Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Xiaoxian is different from Long Ruoxiu Qing Li. He is a serious casual cultivator with no big background behind him. But under such circumstances, Xiaoxian can also obtain a 4th level skill, which is enough to prove that he is either very strong or extremely lucky. Qing Li has a 3rd level skill, Long Ruoxiu has a 4th level skill, and Xiaoxian has a 4th level skill. The level of your 3 skills is quite good. Wang Tai glanced at the 3 of them and was a little surprised, I didn't expect that our lineage would actually find 2 disciples of the 4th level skills. With your skills, it will not be a problem to achieve a career in the future. It's just, Xiao Xian's technique is a bit of a pity. If it were given to Qing Li, it might be of greater use, Meng Xiaoli said suddenly. Xiaoli, you can't say that. Wang Tai was a little embarrassed and quickly interrupted Meng Xiaoli. Oh, Meng Xiaoli also reacted, shaking her head slightly and looking away from Xiao Xian in the distance. After such a conversation, the freshman from Wu Meng's lineage also looked at Xiao Xian with strange eyes. Although Meng Xiaoli didn't say it too clearly just now, anyone with a discerning eye can see that Meng Xiaoli clearly looked down on Xiao Xian and felt that Xiao Xian was not worthy of using such a good technique. As a person involved, Xiao Xian was non-committal about this. For him, the path of cultivation lies in his own heart. If a few words from others affect his path of cultivation, it only means that his own Taoist heart is not firm enough, and his path in the future will not be too smooth. It's even easy to get carried away. In fact, after saying this, Meng Xiaoli was a little embarrassed. She naturally knew that what she just said was somewhat inappropriate. Originally, I was a little apologetic towards Xiao Xian. But seeing the latter's expression of indifference, she shook her head slightly and stopped talking expressionlessly. Gongfu Pavilion. It is said that this place was created by the founder of Qinghua College, Mr. Qinghua. The entire pavilion is built on a peak of Qinghua Mountain, surrounded by mountains and rivers. There is an old pine tree growing at the door. Under the pine tree, an elder sat cross-legged. Apparently he was the guard of the Gongfu Pavilion. Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli stepped forward, bowed respectfully to the elder, and then said, "Report to the elder that Wu Meng, from the dean's lineage, has come to ask for the technique." "Oh, go in." The elder didn't even raise his eyelids. "Thank you, elder." Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli bowed again, and then walked inside. Seeing such an arrogant elder, Xiao Xian and Qing Li couldn't help but look at each other, their faces becoming a little more dignified. They all know it. Character comes from strength. The reason why a person is arrogant is entirely because of his own strength. Just like now, the Kung Fu Pavilion is so important. The fact that Qinghua College can arrange for one person to guard this place is enough to prove Qinghua College's trust in this person's strength. In this case, Xiao Xian knew it without thinking. This elder's strength is at least at the Blue God level. You know, if a master of the Blue God realm is placed in another sect, he will still have a core position. But in Qinghua Academy, he turned out to be just an ordinary guarding elder. It is enough to prove that Qinghua College is strong. Wait a minute. Wu Meng's new lineage is new. Please wait here for a stick of incense before going in. Just when Wang Tai was about to take Xiao Xian and others into the Kung Fu Pavilion, the elder at the door suddenly stopped him. "You don't want to meet them inside either, do you?" Meng Xiaoli looked angry. "Moreover, because our lineage is weak, most of the resources they snatch belong to us," the guard elder said politely. "This is too much. Is it possible that the dean of Qinghua College can tolerate this?" The elder's voice was calm. "If you have the ability, you can enter and compete now. There is no need to complain here." The elder at the door had no emotion on his face. Naturally, one stone stirs up thousands of waves. These 2 colleges are too overbearing. Why are they taking away our training resources? Isn't there any fairness in Qinghua College? What does the elder mean? Wang Tai was a little puzzled. There were only so many exercises for new students in the Kung Fu Pavilion every time. If you go late, you can only choose what others have left. Why does this elder want to block it? Doesn't this put their lineage at a disadvantage? Wang Ao branch and Bai Sheng branch just entered. This elder is right, let's compete ourselves. This sentence made Wang Tai Meng Xiaoli's face turn red, but Xiao Xianqing, Li Longruoxiu and others looked puzzled. Of course they couldn't agree. But if there are many people in these 2 branches, They are also arrogant people, and before entering Qinghua Academy, they were also the geniuses of major families. Not to mention the 4th grade techniques, even the 3rd grade techniques can't be found, and you can only find a few 2nd grade techniques, which you can eat as scraps. On the other hand, Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli looked at each other and hesitated a little. Do you really want to go in and compete? We just want to go in and choose our own exercises. Do the people from these two branches have to stop us? All the freshmen complained. Let the people in these two branches know that we are not Do and can be manipulated by others. The new students from Wu Meng's lineage also expressed their opinions one after another. Their lineage is unlucky. This. Wang Tai was a little embarrassed. Long Ruoxiu looked unhappy. Now, their own cultivation resources have been taken away. Say it. Yes, we need our own training resources. Senior brother Wang, are the people from these two branches so domineering? After hearing these words, the faces of the new students in Wu Meng's lineage became even more angry and dissatisfied. The two branches, Wang Ao and Bai Sheng, are stronger, so every time in the battle between freshmen, they will be more domineering and take more. As a practitioner who has just entered Qinghua Academy, if you are really so determined, I can make way for you, but, if you end up with no 2nd grade skills, you can only redeem them with merit in the future. Based on previous experience, if there are few freshmen in Wang Ao and Bai Sheng branches, they might be able to get 1 or 2 4th level skills. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 596. Although the guard elder didn't say much, but the new students in Wu Meng's lineage looked at each other in confusion, and finally focused on the eldest disciple Wang Tai. Anyone can talk the talk. But when it came time to see the real seal in their hands, they all hesitated. After all, if you want to get the best skills, what you need is not your mouth, but the power of the skills on your body. If you can defeat those two people, needless to say, the training resources that should be given to this lineage will not be reduced at all. However, if they do not have enough strength, they will fight for resources and lose face in the end. Senior brother Wang. Since everyone is so concerned about this matter, let's go take a look and see what kind of genius can rob us of our cultivation resources. Xiao Xian took the initiative and said, if they don't have the strength and take more, won't our opportunity come? This. Xiao Xian, don't show off, don't think that just because you have beaten Bai Vuqian, you can fight with those two lineage disciples. Meng Xiaoli interrupted angrily, did you know that the weakest among the new students in their lineage are at the middle level of the spiritual god realm? Say it. The disciples who were noisy just now were a little speechless. Wu Meng's lineage was already weak in strength, and the newly recruited disciples were naturally not much stronger. If it weren't for Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li's support, their lineage might not even be qualified to choose techniques. So what? It's not like we don't have people in the middle and high levels of the spiritual god realm, right? Xiao Xian said directly, besides, the cultivation resources that belong to us should be taken back by ourselves. What he said was quite impressive. But the result was not good, because of what Meng Xiaoli said just now, the practitioners of this lineage had no confidence. Hey, don't be too discouraged. Although the freshmen, Dean Wang Afen and Bai Shenfen, are strong, they are just people who have just entered Qinghua College, and their strength may not be that strong. Wang Tai still encouraged him bravely, besides, you have to rely on yourself to practice. Even if they start at a higher level, if they don't have the support of talent, it won't last long. As long as everyone works hard, their future cultivation achievements may not be as good as theirs small. His words were clearly an encouragement. Even Meng Xiaoli on the side could hear the reluctance in his words. Besides, senior sister Meng and senior brother Bai Ruyi of Beizheng Academy have an old relationship, so they will give her some face. Seeing that encouragement was of no use, Wang Tai could only look at Meng Xiaoli with a smile. Humph, that annoying guy. Judging from Meng Xiaoli's expression, obviously, she didn't like the so-called Bai Ruyi. You are really making trouble out of nothing. Regarding the current situation, Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li had no choice but to agree, but their anger was directed at Xiaoxian. Hey. Do you want it to look like this? It's obviously people from those two branches who stole our resources. Why do you blame me? Xiaoxian originally wanted to explain something. But after seeing the anger on the faces of Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li, they still kept their mouths shut. Under the leadership of Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli, a group of freshmen also followed behind and filed into the Kung Fu Pavilion. The space inside the Kung Fu Pavilion is not small, and is divided into 3 floors. The first floor is filled with first grade to second grade Kung Fu, which are prepared for the new students and servants. The second level is for third level to fourth level exercises. The number of exercises on this level is much less than that on the first level, and they are all prepared for outstanding disciples. On the third floor, there are skills of 5th grade and above, which can only be accessed by core elders and even branch deans. At this moment, the most crowded places in the Gongfa Pavilion are naturally the first and second floors. Ouch! Isn't this senior brother Wang Tai? Why, do you of the Wu Meng lineage also want to choose exercises for the new students today? Xiaoxian and others had just entered the Kung Fu Pavilion. A practitioner dressed in white and with a handsome face walked over and took the initiative to say hello to Wang Tai. Bai Ruyi? Why are you on the first floor? Wang Tai frowned slightly after seeing the person coming. I'm waiting for you. I've known about your lineage for a long time. I seem to have found a few good new talents recently, so I came to pay attention. After Bai Ruyi finished speaking, she led a group of freshmen and walked directly to Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li. These two, one is a high-level spiritual god realm, and the other is an intermediate-level spiritual god realm. They are quite powerful, but among you, one lineage, but it's a bit wasted. Why don't you transfer to our college now? Bai Ruyi, don't go too far. Choosing the college is a voluntary act for freshmen. How dare you force a change? Wang Tai looked angry. Haha, senior brother Wang Tai, this is a misunderstanding. I, Bai Ruyi, have been outside for so many years, how could I not know about this kind of thing? Of course I will let them choose voluntarily. Bai Ruyi smiled slightly and said to Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li, you two, if you want to join our Bai Sheng lineage, I will naturally offer you 2 4th-level skills. As for other disciples above the spiritual god realm, if they want to join our lineage, they can get a 3rd-level skill. What? Bai Sheng's lineage is so generous. It's unbelievable. I didn't expect that the resources of Bai Sheng's lineage would be so abundant. They can give them all the 3rd and 4th grade techniques at will. I'm afraid there is no hope if you stay in the Wu Meng lineage. If you turn around, driven by huge interests, the disciples of Wu Meng's lineage also began to feel excited, casting fiery glances at Bai Ruyi. Bai Ruyi, don't go too far. Is it possible that you want to gather all the geniuses of Qinghua Academy together? Are you going to prevent other channels from having a way to survive? Meng Xiaoli had a hot temper and scolded Bai Ruyi, if Master Wu finds out about this, do you know what the consequences will be? Seeing that Meng Xiaoli was angry, Bai Ruyi remained nonchalant and said with a smile, Junior sister Xiaoli, don't worry. There are some things that are not decided by me, nor by you. Just like these new students, where do they want to go? Do you want to change? Our Bai Sheng lineage just saw that there are many talented talents among the freshmen and didn't want them to decline in your lineage, so we paid a high price to recruit them. Besides, your lineage can't provide such high-level skills, Can it? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 597. Hear this. Mengxiali also had a bit of embarrassment on her face. Although Bai Ruyi was shameless, there was nothing wrong with what she said. Any cultivator chooses a sect or a sect. I just want to get resources from this sect. If in the end, the resources they want cannot be obtained from Wu Meng's lineage, but they happen to be available elsewhere, then no one can guarantee that these new students will not have other ideas in mind. Moreover, junior sister Meng, with your talent, if you can come to our Baisheng lineage early, you might be able to reach the threshold of the Blue God realm. Bai Ruyi smiled and said, with your talent, the resources you get from Wu Meng's lineage are not even half as good as those from Baisheng's lineage. Don't you feel regretful? His words were ostensibly speaking for Mengxiali. But he secretly harbors evil intentions. Isn't the purpose of persuading Mengxiali also to let other freshmen listen? If you can persuade talented people like Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li, you will definitely make a lot of money. Even if a few masters from the lower level of the spiritual god realm could come, the strength of Baisheng's lineage would be greatly increased. At the worst, they can make Wu and Meng's people alienated from each other, which will greatly affect their ability to unite. In this way, their goal can be considered achieved. Bai Ruyi, don't talk nonsense here. I choose how many cultivation resources I, Meng Xiaoqian, can get. What I learned from Master Wu is no less than what I learned from you. Mengxiali's face was gloomy. Don't try to confuse the public with your monstrous words again. Ha ha ha. Junior sister Meng, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to deceive you. Do you know that if your Wu master lineage is still at the bottom of the competition among freshmen this year, I'm afraid it will be merged into other lines next year. Instead of being forced to allocate it then, it is better to propose it yourself now. This way you can also take control of the initiative, right? Bai Ruyi, since you have received so many cultivation resources from Dean Bai, why haven't you reached the high level of the spiritual god realm yet? Wang Tai was a little annoyed. If you talk nonsense here again, don't blame me for being rude. The threat to the throne. Bai Ruyi looked contemptuous. Wang Tai, others are afraid of you, but I am not afraid of you. Is it possible that I have forgotten the last time I was injured by Crescent Slash? Then let's fight again and show you the power of my Iron Rock skill. Wang Tai glared angrily. What's so great about a bunch of stone-breaking skills? Even if you master it, it's just a beating skill. Bai Ruyi seemed to be sure that Wang Tai would not take action in the skill pavilion. Bai Ruyi still chuckled. Bai Ruyi. Wang Tai was furious. A blue-gray skill is running on his body. The already tall body actually grew several feet longer, and the skin all over his body was covered with a layer of iron gray, like a rock giant. Huge pressure instantly enveloped him. Even Bai Ruyi had to deal with it carefully. A silver crescent moon appeared in his hand, which offset the pressure of the rock giant. Wang Tai, do you really want to fight here? Aren't you afraid of the Academy's rules? From Bai Ruyi's uncertain face, it can be seen that the move just now took a lot of energy from him. If you are still talking nonsense here, even if you fight to be punished by the Academy, I will fight with you. Wang Tai clenched his hands tightly, and the giant rock fist was ready to strike, and it seemed that it would hit Bai Ruyi's face in the next second. Bai Ruyi looked hesitant. He and Wang Tai are both at the high-level peak of the spiritual god realm, and are just a hair away from the blue god realm. If they really want to fight, no one can do anything to the other side. Moreover, the iron rock skill practiced by Wang Tai has extremely high defensive power. Even if he uses Crescent Slash, it will probably be a lose-lose situation for both parties. Humph, a stupid man with brute strength. But I can tell you that there are some powerful new students in Wang Ao branch. I think you Wu Meng lineage can't get even a third-level skill today, so there's no need to go to the second floor. After Bai Ruyi finished speaking, she flashed and flew directly towards the second floor. The next second, the place where he was shattered by a giant rock fist. This also made Xiao Xian secretly frightened. It seems that even though Wang Tai is always smiling, his strength is also extraordinary. If he hits with this fist, even a high-level cultivator of the spiritual god realm will be seriously injured. Humph, get out of here if you know you're scared. See Bai Ruyi leaving. Wang Tai then slowly put away his iron rock kung fu and returned to his normal appearance, but his face was also a little pale. It was obvious that the iron rock kung fu he had just used had taken a lot of energy from him. Don't worry, everyone, as long as I, Wang Tai, are here, everyone will receive no less training resources. Wang Tai turned around and smiled at the freshman. Furthermore, Master Wu is extremely powerful among the branch teens, as you will know in the future. Although Wang Tai said it very sincerely. But Xiao Xian could still see that Bai Ruyi's words had somewhat affected the morale of their lineage. After that, if they really can't get the corresponding resources, I'm afraid they really have other ideas. To practice a discipline, you have to rely on yourself. According to the rules of King Hua Academy, in the Kung Fu Pavilion, what level of Kung Fu you can obtain depends entirely on your own abilities. At this time, Long Ruoxiu suddenly stood up, otherwise, even with the support of the sect behind him, those resources cannot improve his strength. No doubt. Compared to the superior senior brother Wang Tai, the freshmen were closer to Long Ruoxiu, and after hearing these words, they felt more or less at ease. That's right, since Bai Ruyi did this. In this case, we won't have to take care of their face when the time comes. When it comes to snatching the skills, everyone can just rely on their abilities and don't hold anything back. Wang Tai looked serious and said to Xiao Xian and others, when the time comes, we old disciples won't take action. It's up to you to snatch the skills. According to our previous understanding, Bai Sheng's lineage has one high-level and one intermediate-level spiritual god realm. Their top-level combat power is similar to ours. You don't have to worry too much, Meng Xiaoli comforted her. Isn't that a good thing? We also have two eldest sisters, Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li, in front. When the time comes, after the two of them focus on the top combat power, we will deal with the little miscellaneous fish. The chance of winning should be pretty high, right? Xiao Xian suddenly reacted. However, after he said these words, as expected, he became the focus of everyone present. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 598. In the Gongfa Pavilion. For Xiao Xian's eyes, the most dissatisfied are naturally Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li. After all, what Xiao Xian said just now was indeed a bit too much. What does it mean to put their two top combatants in front? Could it be that, in Xiao Xian's opinion, the two of them were just here to be human shields? Is Xiao Xian's words a bit too shameless? Xiao Xian, don't go too far. What does it mean that King Li and I are in front? As a man, don't you have no responsibility at all? Long Ruoxiu's beautiful eyes widened. At this moment, even Wang Tai and Meng Xiaoli were a little embarrassed. In fact, Xiao Xian was right. In the battle between cultivators, people of the same level are fighting against each other. Since Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li are relatively strong, during the battle, they naturally need to bear more of the opponent's firepower, but even so, it was a bit embarrassing for Xiao Xian to say this directly. What are you going to do? Looking at you, you seem to be planning to do nothing. Then you will learn a third grade or even fourth grade technique. Qing Li narrowed his eyes and looked at Xiao Xian. If that's the case, I don't mind dealing with you first before dealing with the other side. Yes, I don't mind either, Long Ruoxiu said the same. No. You two eldest sisters just misunderstood. As the saying goes, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Xiao Xian quickly apologized and explained, the two eldest sisters are both dragons and phoenixes among people. How can I, a small character like me, be so bold? It's good to know. You are not allowed to speak like this in the future. Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li are both queens of famous families. Naturally, they knew what Xiao Xian said, and at the same time, they were willing to bear the main responsibility for this battle. It's just that I'm complaining about Xiao Xian's attitude for the time being. Yes. Xiao Xian quickly apologized. In fact, with his strength, it might be a bit difficult to snatch the 4th level skills from a group of high-level spiritual god realm experts. But if you want to obtain the 3rd level skills, it is not that difficult. However, with the cover of Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li, things would naturally be much simpler. Relying on Xiao Xian's character. Since there is such a huge advantage, why not take advantage of it? Okay, but I want to remind you that after entering the 2nd floor, we will keep an eye on a few of their old disciples. As for the new disciples, you have to rely on yourself. Meng Xiaoli reminded, more importantly, you must unite and not attack your own people. Say it. The freshmen present also had a look on their faces. Yes, in practicing Taoism, only you can believe in yourself. Everything else is just a cloud, even his own brothers may betray him at a critical moment. So if you want to go further on the path of cultivation, it's better to be careful. I have made it clear what I need to say. Next, it depends on your own abilities. Wang Tai pointed to the stairs on the 2nd floor not far away and said seriously, I hope you can win the battle and get the first resource from Qinghua College. Having said that, the freshmen also understood that they had to rely on themselves for the rest of the struggle. They all clenched their fists and became angry. Like a tiger about to go down the mountain. In this regard, Xiao Xian felt much more relaxed. He could feel that in Qinghua Academy, neither the elders nor the branch deans would allow killings to occur in places like the Gongfa Pavilion. So in his opinion, this time the martial arts battle is just superficial. Whether it is Wang Ao's lineage or Bai Sheng's lineage. At best, they can't live with the situation in terms of face, so they want to regain some face in this battle of skills. Nothing spectacular. What's more, Xiao Xian also knows himself. Even in Wu Meng's lineage, which is not very powerful, he is not a prominent figure. Even if people from Wang Ao and Bai Sheng want to cause trouble, his head was nowhere to be found. Staying alive. Get rich. This is Xiao Xian's goal this time, not to mention that he is currently studying the fusion of Taoism. Before, he accepted the inheritance of Gongsun Heya in the secret realm. His most important offensive technique now is Chunyang sword technique, which makes the previous Wuji sword technique almost useless. This is indeed a pity. After all, whatever the system produces, no matter when it is placed, it is definitely a relatively powerful stunt. Gongsun Heya was once the #1 swordsman in the eastern wasteland. His swordsmanship certainly has merit. The things given by these two people are combined together, and the final combination must be very powerful, at least it should be Taoist magic at the level of Xiandao or above. Moreover, from what the system gave him, Xiao Xian can also feel a very important thing. That is, whenever the system gave him rewards before, they were usually related to swordsmanship. It was as if the system was consciously cultivating his sword skills. The serious sword, which can be continuously upgraded, is the clearest signal given by the system to him, allowing him to become a person who truly proves the Tao with the sword in the future. But for Xiao Xian himself, he understood better that neither the path given by the system nor the path given by Gongsun Heya was more suitable than the path he took. To become a truly strong person, you must have your own path. This has been proven whether it is Tianqian continent or primordial continent. And for him now, The identity of the founding Yuanling is his biggest reliance on following his own path. Now that he can try to fuse Xian Dao technique, he may try to fuse Earth Dao technique and Heavenly Dao technique in the future. Even the integration of cultivation techniques. And if he really does this, he will truly have the qualifications and conditions to start a sect. He will truly become the person who stands at the top of this continent. Ahem. The war is about to begin, but some people are still distracted. I really don't know why Master Wu chose you and saved you at that time. Just when Xiao Xian was thinking wildly. Suddenly there was a dissatisfied voice beside him. It was Long Ruoxiu's complaint. In this regard, he could only apologize and laugh quickly. After all, when the time comes to compete for skills on the second floor, the great master Long Ruoxiu will still need to stand in front. Be polite when you should be polite. However, what surprised Xiao Xian was that at this time, there were many freshmen around him who looked at him with envy. This really puzzled him. What's going on? How can anyone still be envious after being scolded? Is it possible that these guys are masochistic? Hey, why are you all looking at me like this? Could it be that you also want to be scolded? Xiao Xian said dissatisfied. Senior brother Xiao Xian. We are not interested in being scolded, but I heard that beating a woman means kissing and scolding means love. Does little witch Long treat you like this? Does she fall in love with you? A new student said enviously. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 599. I listened to the freshman. Xiao Xian was completely speechless. I have seen cheap people, but I have never seen such cheap people. Could it be that none of the practitioners in the fantasy world have heard of this sentence? Licking the dog, licking until the end, nothing left? Besides, the little witch from the Long family is not good at appearance. But if compared to personality, I don't know how inferior Bai Qingli is. Who knew that such a little witch would be so popular among the freshmen? What is going on? Is it possible that all freshmen have proper appearance associations? However, this is normal. Long Ruoxiu's charming appearance can still attract many male practitioners to be fascinated by her. For a while, Xiao Xian could only understand it this way. Think before and after. He made a decision. Since it is something that cannot be changed, then don't think about it. These things have little to do with you anyway. Since these freshmen can't think about it themselves. If they have a crush on the little witch of the Long family, then let them go. I'm afraid they will regret it if they hit the south wall in the end. He still has to implement his previous purpose. If you can keep quiet, you will definitely not show off. Xiao Xian. Are you still going to be a coward? Who knew that just as Xiao Xian emphasized the next action plan to himself, Long Ruoxiu found him out of the crowd. Auntie, what else do you want? I'm just a little cannon fodder. Xiao Xian deliberately looked pitiful. Stop talking nonsense. I don't think you can do anything. Besides, since you said you are a little cannon fodder, you must have the consciousness to be a cannon fodder. Long Ruoxiu looked at Xiao Xian and said, I think you are quite capable, just stay with me later. If you hear this normally, Xiao Xian might be happy in his heart. This little witch of the Long family is also a beautiful woman with curvy front and back. It is also a pleasure to chat with her. But it's different now. Now this woman wants him to fight together. She won because of her strength, but it was Xiao Xian who was unlucky when she lost. Naturally, Xiao Xian was not very happy to do this kind of thing that sounded uneconomical. What are you going to do? From the look of you, it seems that you really have other ideas. Could it be that, you really want to hide behind me and act like a coward, Long Ruoxiu's eyes were strange. How is this possible? Senior sister Long misunderstood. Xiao Xian explained quickly. I don't think it's a misunderstanding. Just now, you were timidly hiding behind, obviously unwilling to charge into the battle? Is it possible that you really let me and Qing Li rush to the front? Long Ruoxiu deliberately looked pitiful. I'm still a little girl, how can you do this and let her fight with those strong men at every turn? Isn't this a bit too much? Long Ruoxiu was originally a fair-skinned beauty. In addition, now that she is acting like this again, it makes a group of freshmen a little bit more anxious. He seems to want to be a flower protector. However, Xiao Xian could see that more of these new students were dissatisfied and jealous of him. This made him feel embarrassed and helpless. Looking at Long Ruoxiu's appearance, it was obvious that he wanted to rush forward and fight the people of Bai Sheng's lineage face to face. In terms of interests, the value of a 4th level skill is indeed not small. If you can get a 4th grade skill, even if Xiao Xian can't use it for the time being, you can use this 4th grade skill to exchange for the genius treasure you need. Sister Long, you are at the high level of the spiritual god realm. With your sister's talent, it is almost certain that you will reach the blue god realm in the future. He knew that for some big families, the reputation of their descendants was also related to the reputation of their own family, which was quite important. Since it is Miss Long who has given orders, I naturally have no choice but to obey them honestly. Miss Long, you are a member of the Long family after all. Why are you saying such things today? Xiao Xian still said carefully, wouldn't it be bad for your reputation if this thing gets out? When the time comes, I'm still waiting for you, Sister Long, to take care of me. I hope that when facing Wang Ao and Bai Sheng's lineage later, they won't encounter two troublesome characters. It is best that Long Ruoxiu and Qing Li can deal with them. I really want to talk about it. It would be best to find what the system calls the heavenly dragon bone broken bones. Xiao Xian was stunned. Do not have much left. As a descendant of the Long family, Long Ruoxiu would not just watch outsiders ruin her reputation even if she didn't care about her family's reputation. Xiao Xian also shook his head quickly. Since senior sister Long is the leader this time, I will naturally be obedient and follow you as a follower. I must be a good little brother. Do you still have any questions? Long Ruoxiu asked proactively before Xiao Xian could think about the reason behind this. Long Ruoxiu smiled instead and looked at Xiao Xian with interest, as if she didn't care much about this matter. All right. Wear it 1,000 times, but flattery never wears it. After all, he can get the skills while lying down. Isn't it great? For a while, a smile appeared on Long Ruoxiu's face again. That's pretty much it? If you know your position, then the next thing will be much easier. Seeing Long Ruoxiu was a little dissatisfied. If you use ordinary methods, it will definitely not work. On the contrary, you have to use some special means. There was a hint of sincerity in what he said. Xiao Xian nodded helplessly. He also knew that his refusal at this time would have no effect, and he would probably be besieged by the new students who were reasonable guests. Thinking of this, he could only deal with one sentence. Xiao Xian believed that the eldest lady from a big family like Long Ruoxiu had grown up. There is definitely no shortage of food, clothing, and various cultivation resources. With such a thing, his Shenlong Kung Fu can be upgraded to the 6th level, which will naturally greatly increase his strength. Could it be that if I talk to you in a nice and cheerful manner today, my reputation will be better? My reputation. That's that. Since Long Ruoxiu is a descendant of the family, it is naturally impossible for her to ruin her family's reputation, let alone allow outsiders to ruin her family's reputation. But today, Xiao Xian looked at Long Ruoxiu and felt a little strange. But things don't go as expected, and this kind of thing happens often, so now Xiao Xian is not surprised when he hears Long Ruoxiu's words. According to common sense, Regarding Long Ruoxiu's attitude. Therefore, I want to please such a character. But why is she showing this attitude now? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 600. Nice. I didn't expect you to be quite good at talking, right? Hearing Xiao Xian's words, Long Ruoxiu couldn't help but look at him more, with a bit of surprise on her face, as if she wasn't used to Xiao Xian's rapid transformation. He who knows the current affairs is a hero. Prodigies like Senior Sister Long and Senior Sister Qing will definitely become outstanding talents in the future. It's normal for me to be cautious about fawning over them now, isn't it? Don't tell me that Senior Sister Long just wants me to be by her side now. Even if she asks me to jump into a manure pit, I will never give a shit. Xiao Xian cursed and swore, like a loyal guard to Long Ruoxiu. His motto in life is, either don't do something or do it well. This is what cultivation is like. The same is true when licking a dog. Now that you have decided to be a licking dog, you must do it well. At least you must run faster than other licking dogs, right? See this scene. The freshman behind Long Ruoxiu also cast disdainful glances at Xiao Xian. I have seen thick-skinned people, but I have never seen anyone so thick-skinned. Even if you want to pursue a woman, you haven't reached this point, right? Don't you have any integrity as a man? After hearing these words, Long Ruoxiu blinked, looking at Xiao Xian with a little more playfulness. Xiao Xian, what you just said is true. Of course it's true. Faced with Long Ruoxiu's inquiry, Xiao Xian was also a little flustered. His bragging just now was a bit too much, and he was afraid that the former would tell the truth to him. Well, when you return to the sect, you will perform a manure pit jump in front of the entire sect. Long Ruoxiu had a wicked look on her face. I've heard a long time ago that there are many great avenues on the Great Dao continent. If you can jump into a manure pit, maybe, you can also comprehend the way of shit and become the founder of the way of shit. Nima. After hearing this, Xiao Xian's face suddenly felt as embarrassed as he wanted. He didn't expect that this beautiful woman Long Ruoxiu, who looked like a flower, would actually say such vulgar words. Hey, then when I get back, I'm going to see senior brother Xiao Xian jump into the cesspit. I don't know if an ordinary cesspit like ours can help senior brother Xiao understand the way of excrement. If it's not enough, we can contribute a little more. Originally, a group of people looked at Xiao Xian sourly. However, after hearing Long Ruoxiu's words, everyone naturally had smiles on their faces and were full of sarcasm towards Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian also swallowed. His face was as embarrassed as he wanted to be. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know how. Originally, he planned to follow Long Ruoxiu to learn some martial arts. Who would have thought that it would reach this point now? Not only would Liang Ying's plan be aborted, but he would also create some kind of bullshit shit. Isn't this a joke? If people in the Tianqian continent or the prehistoric continent knew that the former founder of the Great Dao, the founding Yuanling, ended up being known as the Way of Shit. Afraid of not being generous enough to make people laugh? Wanting to understand this, Xiao Xian also said a little embarrassedly, "Don't joke, beauty Long. I will marry a beauty like you in the future. How can I have such a disgusting way? If that's the case, wouldn't it pollute your reputation, Miss Long? You're a slut, who said I wanted to marry you?" Regarding these words of Xiao Xian, after Long Ruoxiu thought for a while, she instantly understood the underlying meaning of Xiao Xian's words. This guy actually inexplicably said that they were together? Isn't this a hooligan? Thinking of this, Long Ruoxiu wanted to slap this guy to death right now. Alright. We are going to deal with Wang Ao and Bai Sheng's lineage soon, so stop joking. If we don't get high-level skills, our lineage will really be stepped on by others. Why don't you be more cautious? Just when Long Ruoxiu and Xiao Xian were arguing. But Qing Li stood up, stopped the two of them, and said, with this power, it's better to keep it to deal with them. Hear these words. Xiao Xian and Long Ruoxiu also nodded, looked at each other, and their faces became solemn again. Go up to the second floor. Xiao Xian saw that the rolls of exercises were neatly placed. The two parties were walking around some upstairs, both looking for exercises that suited them. They were originally in harmony, but when they saw Xiao Xian and others, they all showed wary expressions. It's like seeing an enemy. Senior brother Mu Xiaolong, I didn't expect them to actually come up. When he saw Xiao Xian, Bai Vucheng's face was filled with joy, and he said to a handsome young man beside him, the purple-robed woman taking the lead is the little witch Long Ruoxiu, and the other one is the third princess of the King Hua royal family. King Li. The royal family? It's just an empty shell in name only. Maybe at some point, someone will kill you casually. How dare you talk about the royal family? I don't know how thick-skinned you are. Mu Xiaolong didn't even look at Xiao Xian and others, but there was a bit of contempt in the corner of his mouth. Although his voice was not loud, it could be heard clearly by the people present. It was obviously aimed specifically at Qing Li. Did not expect. After so many years, you Mu family still act like you don't know who your ruler is. It's true that like father, like son. Qing Li is naturally not someone to be bullied. Whether you are a monarch or a minister, the strength in your hands has to speak for itself. If you don't have enough strength, can you, the Qing family, be able to bear the title of monarch? Mu Xiaolong chuckled and said, speaking of which, if your Qing family knew the current affairs better, why would you end up like this? How shameless! If you, the rebellious ministers and traitors like you Mu family, were placed in other empires, you would have been slaughtered all over the family. That is to say, our Qing family is kind-hearted. Not only did we not destroy the Mu family, but we also allowed you, the rebellious ministers, to live to this day. Qing Li's eyes were full of anger as he waited for Mu Xiaolong. Aren't you afraid of punishment from heaven? Although King Li is a prostitute. But what he said just now was so convincing and well-founded that all the practitioners present could hear it clearly. Although most of the practitioners present were from the lineage of Wang Ao and Bai Sheng. But many of them were subjects of the King Hua Empire, and they knew something about the Mu family's treason back then. So after hearing these words, the look in their eyes when they looked at Mu Xiaolong was a little more complicated. Snort. Qing Li, don't look at your clever words now. In this world, the strong are respected. Regardless of the Mu family or the Qing family, as long as you have the strength, you can naturally dominate. Mu Xiaolong's face showed contempt. Today, based on your strength, you can't take away even a single volume of the techniques here.